So can anyone give me a logical explanation for why we spent $150 billion for the International Space Station, other than for astronauts to float around and do backflips in space? Initially, I was going to make a video about how epic the ISS is, but while researching it, the more I found out, the harder it became to praise. So here's what the ISS actually is. It's a floating laboratory that has been continuously inhabited for 25 years, and it is, by a wide margin, the most expensive object ever built. Now, $150 billion is one of those numbers so large that we can barely comprehend. So let me give you some comparisons to understand what we're actually talking about here. The National Cancer Institute is the largest funder of cancer research on the planet. Its entire annual budget is around $7 billion a year. So the total cost of the ISS could have kept that running for over 20 years. 2 full decades of the world's most important cancer research for the same price as one space station. Another one is hospitals. A fully equipped hospital in the United States costs somewhere between $250 and $500 million to build. So for $150 billion, we could have built somewhere between 300 and 600 brand new hospitals, fully staffed and fully equipped. Another one is the UN World Food Program. Estimates show it costs around $40 billion to end world hunger for a year. So a $150 billion could have covered 4 years of world hunger. But instead, we built a space station. And this price isn't even the only disturbing part about this, because the ISS costs another $3 billion a year just to operate. Of that $3 billion, $1.7 billion goes to getting crew and supplies up there. Around $1 billion goes to keeping the station itself from falling apart. And the actual scientific research budget is $267 million out of $3 billion. So roughly 9 cents of every dollar is actually going toward the thing the station was supposedly built to do. And even that $267 million comes with a catch, because the ISS only ever has 3 to 6 people on board at any given time. And those people aren't even spending all their days running experiments. A huge chunk of every week goes to maintenance, fixing equipment, replacing parts, keeping aging systems from failing. On top of that, they need 2 hours of exercise every single day just to stop their bones from deteriorating in microgravity. When you add it all up, the crew only gets around 20 hours a week for actual science on the most expensive laboratory ever built. What's even crazier is that before a single piece of the ISS was ever built, NASA put out a price estimate of $8 billion. That's what they said the whole thing would cost. And I think a big reason a project like this goes from $8 billion to $150 billion is something called cost plus contracting. Under this system, every company building parts of the station got reimbursed for whatever they spent, and then got a guaranteed profit percentage on top of that. So keeping costs down actually meant making less money. The more they spent, the more they earned. The contracts were spread across 37 states. So if anyone pushed to cancel it, that also meant we're going after jobs in nearly every corner of the country. And we did try to end it. In 1993, there was a vote on whether to shut the whole program down. The ISS survived by a single vote, 215 to 216. So one vote kept alive a project that would go on to cost $150 billion. And speaking of expensive things floating around, every time you connect to the internet, your IP address and browsing activity are basically out in the open. A VPN, short for Virtual Private Network, is a privacy and security tool that creates an encrypted private tunnel between your device and the internet, making your online activity unreadable. A VPN also lets you slip past geo-restrictions on websites and streaming services, so you can access content from anywhere in the world. And that's why I've partnered up with our sponsor, Private Internet Access. I've been using PIA for a while now, and what sold me was their no logs policy. They literally don't store your activity, so there's nothing to hand over. Even if someone asked, one subscription also covers unlimited devices, phone, laptop, smart TV, whatever you've got, connected through more than servers in 91 countries and all 50 US states. PIA has over 30 million downloads. They're rated excellent on Trustpilot, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't love it, you get your money back, no questions asked. Right now, PIA is offering you guys 83% off, which equals about $2 a month plus 4 extra months completely free. Head to piavpn.com/Sullivan Space to lock in the 83% discount and finally protect your privacy. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments below. And then Russia joined the program. After the Soviet Union collapsed, there were suddenly thousands of unemployed rocket engineers with nowhere to go and a lot of very specific knowledge. Bringing them in kept that expertise off the market and helped manage an unpredictable post-Cold War situation. That might have been the right call, but I doubt it had anything to do with what science was going to be done up there. By the time the first crew finally arrived in the year 2000, the program had been running for 16 years, and we had already spent more money just figuring out what to build than the entire Apollo program, the one that did actually land humans on the moon. And I'm not the only one with this kind of point of view on the ISS. Some of the most respected scientists in the world were saying this loudly before the station was even finished. Steven Weinberg, who won the Nobel Prize in Physics, called the ISS, in his own words, an orbital turkey. He wrote that no important science had come from it. And he came back to this argument 3 separate times across 3 published essays over the years, and Weinberg wasn't alone either. James Van Allen, the scientist who discovered the radiation belts that circle Earth and bear his name, warned that the ISS would drain the budget for real space science. Now, I do want to be fair here. The ISS isn't just people floating around doing nothing. There is real science happening up there, and some of it is genuinely trying to solve important problems. The Michael J. Fox Foundation sent a key Parkinson's protein up to the ISS to see if space could help them study it better. It didn't. The crystals grown in space were no better than what they could grow on Earth. Japanese researchers spent years using ISS-grown proteins to develop a drug for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a disease that takes away young boys' ability to walk. That drug made it all the way to a large clinical trial, and it failed in July of last year. No drug whose discovery came from the ISS has ever been approved for patients. Not one after more than 4 decades of trying. The science is real, the diseases are real, the effort is real, the results just haven't come. In 2031, we're going to deliberately crash the International Space Station into the Pacific Ocean. It'll be aimed at Point Nemo, the most remote spot on Earth, about 2,000 miles from the nearest land. SpaceX has already been paid $843 million to build the vehicle that will push the ISS out of orbit and bring it down. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me down in the comments. Drop me a like and subscribe for more space content.